This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
That's number one. You kind of reset your
Painful, tender to the touch. May also
same shoulder length, and the other.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Real Health Podcast with Brandy. Yeah, I forgot your name for a second. And Amir.
I forget my name sometimes too.
If you were wondering, that one's Brandy. I'm Dr. Amir Rashidi, and a chiropractor. And Real Health Podcast is where we bring to you all the latest information about health and wellness and give you our perspective from a non-surgical, as much as possible, drug-free solution. And our focus and purpose and hope is that you'll feel better, get stronger, live longer, and feel younger. Please remember that the Real Health Podcast is brought to you by the Frederick Podcast Network, and it is found on listenfrederick.com, along with YouTube and Spotify and iTunes and all the other great
Everywhere
places.
else.
Yes, hopefully everywhere. So, you know, if you really want to help us out, watch us on every platform
Yeah.
over and over.
Or just share it with your family and friends.
That might be smarter.
That's probably more time.
This is
time
why we have Brandy.
efficient.
She's the smart one.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
So fun.
we have a lot of fun, and we're glad to have you with us. Last episode, we talked a lot about my experience in Iran, and we didn't really get into the medical side of things too much, or health and wellness side of things too
Here
much.
we are.
But I think it was relevant because we need to understand that anxiety is real, and stress is real, and it's always around us. And this is actually going to tie into what we're going to talk about. And you can't reduce stress because you can't control what happens around you.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a patient. Her mother is, I believe she's 93 years old,
Wow.
and she is terrified of the war that's going on the other side of the ocean. So she wakes up in the middle of the night asking, hey, what was that? Did you hear that? And she goes, Mom, go back to sleep. Everything's fine. So I think people here feel it too, especially
Yeah.
when they find out that, oh, U.S. is involved and so
Yeah.
on. So
It can be scary for people.
it can be. It can be. Now, it's not about the stress that's in your life. Most important thing is how you handle that stress.
Oh, for sure.
And most people think, when I say how you handle it, they think, I stay pretty calm. That's not what I'm talking about. How you handle stress is how your body responds to the stress. See, true stress, the stress response is the non-physiologic or non-specific physiologic response of the body to stress. And the reason I say non-specific is because it's the same response to every kinds of stress. So you tell the kids, we're going to Disneyland tomorrow, they won't be able to sleep tonight.
Right.
And if you tell them there's a burglar that's roaming the neighborhood and he may break into our house tonight,
They won't be able to
they won't sleep tonight. Their physiology will be the same. Whether they're excited and happy about going to Disneyland or they're terrified that some burglar is going to break in and steal stuff, the body responds the same way. So keep that in mind. And then that response leads to inflammation. That type of inflammation leads to wear and tear and degeneration, arthritis. And so our first article, where did you find this, by the way? Do you know?
I can look it back up.
Okay.
ASN. ASN Weekly.
So the title of the article says, an anti-inflammatory peptide may hold the key to low back pain relief.
Advanced Science News. ASN.
All right. The most common cause of chronic low back pain is the deterioration of discs between the vertebrae. So I already have a problem with this.
First sentence in.
First sentence says the most common cause of chronic low back pain is the deterioration of the discs. Okay, so is deterioration of the disc a cause or is it a result? Why aren't we worried about what causes the deterioration? Because if it was something that naturally happens, why don't every disc in the spine deteriorate the same way? Why is it that in the neck, somebody will have a C5 disc deterioration, if they want to use the word deteriorate? I like degenerate, but whatever. And another person, it's their L5 that degenerates.
Right.
And another person, it's somewhere in the thoracic spine. And why is that? Why, if all discs are supposed to deteriorate the same way,
Why don't they do it at the same rate?
they should all deteriorate
I
at the
wonder
same
if
rate at
people
the same
ask
time.
their their car repair guy why one tire is worn out more than the other three or the other two.
Well, because it's common sense.
Is it?
I mean, I think I would think, I don't know. Would women know the answer?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because it's not aligned properly.
Right. The tires are either not balanced or
Right.
your alignment is off.
Correct.
There you go.
But it's just so funny to me because we have a lot of really smart people, doctors, right? Who they probably wouldn't ask their repair guy.
We have a lot of educated people. I don't know if they're smart. There's a difference.
Okay. But for me, it's that we just refuse to look at it.
Right.
The
We
same
blindly, we read a sentence and we blindly accept it as truth because it was written in a journal.
Right.
We blindly go, oh, okay, well, makes sense.
It's called programming.
Yeah. However, how this happens is not completely understood. I can tell you exactly how it happened. In fact, I brought Charlie back so I can.
It's not understood by them.
It's not understood by them, or they don't want to understand it.
Correct.
It's ridiculous. In a recent study, scientists claim to have uncovered a biological mechanism that not only slows this decline, but also reverts it, providing a promising pathway for potential future treatments. Chronic low back pain arises from degradation of the tissue inside the disc or inflammation. To date, therapies to treat intervertebral disc degeneration are limited, involving broad-spec anti-inflammatory drugs, which have undesirable side. Ooh, somebody says drugs have undesirable side effects.
But they're only saying that because they're trying to come up with something else you can
It's
inject
a drug.
yourself
What
with.
they're coming up with is a drug too.
Right.
Or surgeries that are invasive, risky, and require long recovery times.
Nowhere in there does it talk about palliative care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the reason it's hard to treat is because you start too late.
Correct.
We don't wait till we have 16 cavities before we get our teeth checked.
Correct.
Why do we wait till we have a degenerated disc in our spine before we get our spine checked? Why isn't, there's a hospital
Lots of answers for that.
There's a hospital in New Zealand. This was the case 20-some years ago. I think there's probably more than that now, where a newborn isn't allowed to leave the hospital until a chiropractor has checked that newborn's neck, because going through the birth canal and being delivered via C-section can be very traumatic to a baby's spine. And so they have a chiropractor check every baby before that baby's released from the hospital. Start early.
It's very smart.
Yeah, and I know some of you are going, oh, you're cringing, going, oh, baby, get a chiropractic. It's so gentle. It's so comfortable. Babies fall asleep during the adjustment. Checking the spine doesn't do any harm. And if something's misaligned, there's more harm to leaving it misaligned than correcting it, taking pressure off the brain stem and the spinal cord and allowing that baby to develop healthy and properly than to leave it there.
Amen to that.
Anyways, but you're allowed to have your opinion, and I'm here to tell you the truth. Just like if you watched the last episode, we read a very negative article about chiropractic, and we shared it with you, and we didn't censor any of it. Go back and watch the last episode. You'll see we're going to bring you the truth. There is a clear need for alternative treatments prior to surgery that slow or reverse the progression of intervertebral disc degeneration. Notice no one cares about preventing it, but they just want to slow and revert it.
Come on, if we prevent stuff, we can't prescribe drugs for it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Just like we can totally prevent cancer,
yeah,
but we don't do
disease
it.
prevention does not equate to dollars in the bank for certain kinds of companies.
Which is why I always laugh when our favorite 3-letter agency, our second favorite. Our favorite is the FDA. Our second favorite is the CDC. But CDC stands for Center for Disease Control and Prevention. It's actually CDCP. But they don't even say the P. They just say the CDC.
Well, because...
But the name of the organization is And Prevention.
But that's not their...
That's not their... They don't care about prevention. I've never seen this give a hoot about any kind of prevention.
Although we do have a different definition for certain things. Do you know what I mean?
True. For example, they go early screening is prevention, or early detection is prevention.
Right.
You detect the disease early, you didn't prevent it.
Right.
You just detected it early.
Right.
So that's their definition of prevention.
Correct. So
They're preventing death. I don't mind that. They're preventing death from every disease.
yes, but you can do that by preventing it.
Maybe you should call themselves CDCPD
I will
and
never
prevention
remember
of death.
that. We won't ever remember.
CDCPD. You could say it's police department. I don't know. Anyways, but that's a rant.
It's okay. Come back.
All right. A biological mechanism to combat low back pain. When healthy, intervertebral discs play a crucial role in transmitting the weight placed on the spine and aiding in shock absorption.
Do you want to fix that too?
But yeah, when the discs start deteriorating, pain sets in, signaled by neurons in the area. So they're talking about discogenic pain. There's a recurrent meningeal nerve that actually innervates the disc. So when there's disc damage, that signals pain, that sends pain signals to the brain. So that's the nerve they're talking about. But my problem is they say discs are shock absorbers. One day we'll ask God
What his plan was.
right, but I am 99.9% certain that a spinal disc is not designed to be a shock absorber. Just like the cartilage in your knees is not designed to be a shock absorber.
Charlie would be a good one for the shock absorption.
I'm going to bring Charlie out in a second, but think about your knees. If you stood on this counter right here and jumped off, would you like to land with your knees bent, or would you lock your knees and land flat-footed?
Sean, what would you do? Say bend the knees.
I mean, you wouldn't want to land flat-footed, and you want now if the cartilage in your knees actually did absorb shock, lock your knees. Jump off the counter, land with your knees locked and straight. You'll hurt yourself. What do you do to absorb shock? You bend your knees. That bend, now look, if this is straight and I put a force into it, the forces go into the joints. If I bend it, that curve absorbs shock. So where's Charlie?
It's on the floor.
He's asleep. Say hello, Charlie.
Hello, Charlie.
So this is your spine on drugs. Just kidding. It's straight when you look at it from the front. Is it straight when you look at it from the side?
No, it's got a nice curve.
It's got curves. Why do we have curves? Because the curves absorb shock, not the discs. Discs are there for motion. That's why you have cartilage in your knees, so the bones don't rub against each other. That cartilage is not designed to absorb shock. And I don't know why these orthopedic surgeons, it literally is the Department of Orthopedic Surgery in China that said this, but U.S. is the same. They all think that these discs are shock absorbers. I don't know why chiropractors... never mind. I know why they don't listen to chiropractors. But watch this. When Charlie jumps off that counter and lands, this curve is what absorbs the shock. And if the curve is missing, first off, if that spine is straight from the side, look at how far forward Charlie's head went. That's called forward head posture. That puts a lot of stress on the neck, upper back. That's why people have pain in their neck and upper back and shoulders. Their hands go numb because these nerves get pinched and they get less blood flow to the brain. But now watch this. If he jumps and lands, now the discs have to act like shock absorbers because the curve's not there anymore. That's why the disc starts to deteriorate and wear out. They're going, we don't know why it wears out. Every spine that I see that has a bulging disc, which is the other word for deteriorating disc, is a bulge. Every spine I see that has a bulging disc has some kind of misalignment that led to that one disc deteriorating faster than the other ones. I don't know why that word is hard for me to say.
Deteriorating?
Yes, you say it.
Just point at me when you need it.
So what we need to do with Charlie is restore the curve so that spine can absorb shock properly. I hope that makes sense.
Could you describe for people, you might want Charlie back up, describe the difference between a disc bulge, a disc herniation? This is something that people get wrong a lot.
Oh yeah, and I've seen even radiologists documented incorrectly, because a bulge is like an ice cream sandwich that you press together, and you see the ice cream bulge out around the sides. It's not directional. It bulges out around the entire thing. Now, the etiology, which means the cause of a disc bulge, is deterioration or degeneration. Did I say the word correctly?
I think so. You didn't point at me.
Deterioration or degeneration, wear and tear. A disc protrusion is a smaller problem than a herniation. So imagine you have all these fibers around the disc and a center inside that looks like the center of a jelly donut. And it's more fluid. It's viscous. It's gelatinous. Anyways, these fibers can bulge. That's a result of trauma. This person bent the wrong way, picked something up the wrong way, twisted the wrong way, and some of the fibers started to tear, and the middle inside started to leak toward the edge. Now, it didn't tear all the way through. That's called a protrusion. Protrusion is not a bulge. But if you ever read a radiology report and the radiologist says there is a left paracentral disc bulge, that's not a bulge. That's a protrusion, because they give you the direction. It's bulging to the left, which means the cause of it was trauma, not degeneration. Does that make sense? And then if those fibers tear and the inside, that jelly donut inside, the filling comes out, that filling inside is called the nucleus pulposus. When it leaks out, that's called a herniation. It's a little more severe, a little more painful. And then if it leaks out and dips down or up and affects other segments of the spine, that's called a sequestration or a sequestered disc. So the three levels are protrusion, herniation, sequestration. And now you go, okay, which one's most severe? It's the sequestration one. But which one typically ends up in surgery more often? It's the bulge.
Interesting.
Which is degenerative. Because and then the herniation and protrusion. But usually when it's sequestered, the pain is a lot worse. But if you can tolerate the pain and wait, the immune system of the body attacks that part of the disc that's leaked out and starts to eat it up. Literally, white blood cells go and eat that up. And then the body forms scar tissue and seals it. And typically the pain goes away.
That's amazing.
So what you have to do, though, is you have to make sure the alignment is correct and there's the environment inside the body is conducive to that healing process to take place. So there's a little crash course on discs.
And people say, what do you mean the environment inside? So we're talking about nutrition, reduction of inflammation, not through NSAIDs, but
we're talking chemical and mechanical stress.
Yes.
Remove the mechanical stress by taking the alignment and distributing the stress among all the vertebrae so that the stress isn't on just the one that's herniated. You distribute that stress through those adjustments. Again, it requires correct digital x-rays in weight-bearing positions so you can draw the lines and make measurements so you know which bone, what direction, how far. Listen, chiropractic is like, and I know some of you are going to roll your eyes when I say this, and you're going to think I'm out of my mind, and that's okay. Maybe I am. You know, a lot of experts were considered lunatics until they weren't. So call me what you want. It doesn't matter. But chiropractic adjustment is surgery without cutting you open.
Yep.
And it needs to be looked at that way. Because when a chiropractor goes and randomly takes a neck and whips it around side to side, that's when you injure the patient. That's when bad things happen. If you do your due diligence, you do the analysis correctly, you draw the lines and make the measurements and design an adjustment specific to each vertebrae that needs to be corrected and leave the healthy ones alone, now you're doing it with precision. That's like surgery, but we don't cut you open. We look at you with x-ray, we make the changes, and guess what? We do post x-rays because we need to see, did the bone we were trying to move? And did it go in the right place, or does it still need to move? So post x-rays are critical. In fact, why do people get their teeth x-rayed every 2 years?
To check for cavities.
Check
for
why aren't you getting your
anything
spine? Why aren't you getting your spine x-rayed every 2 years? That's what I do. That's what you do.
100%.
Every 2 years, we get a new set of spinal x-rays because I want to see if something's starting to wear out, if a bone spur is starting to show up, if there's a new misalignment that I wasn't aware of. We'll fix it before it becomes a problem. Does anybody wait till that tooth turns black and then go to the dentist?
There's probably a few.
Is that a good idea?
Not a good idea. And it's not the vast majority.
There you go. So, oh my goodness.
Sorry, I needed to ask those questions.
I love to
Inquiring
hate
minds wanted
these
to know.
articles. So we think that the neuron's influence on the intervertebral disc degeneration is not only limited to the occurrence of pain, but also intervertebral disc degeneration itself. That made very little sense to me. But it sounded very professional.
Very.
This is by a Dr. Jiming Zhu, professor in Department of Orthopedic Surgery in Changjiang Hospital and co-lead author of the study. We believe that an enhanced understanding of the structural changes within intervertebral disc tissue and inflammatory responses will help identify novel therapeutic targets and enable effective treatment. So basically, let's wait till the disc degenerates, then let's inject it with something and hope that it recovers.
Yeah, we certainly like injecting, don't we?
Within the spine, there are numerous chemical messengers released by neurons called neurotransmitters that carry signals and information between cells. I mean, those are the same nerves that bring information to and from the brain. Let's not worry about that part, right? In this study, the team chose to investigate the role of a neurotransmitter called vasoactive intestinal peptide, as it has previously been linked to anti-inflammatory effects, meaning it could have a protective effect on disc tissue. How cool is this? The body produces a specific peptide in the intestine that reduces inflammation in discs. That's our God, who created this perfect body,
So
who
cool.
knows how to produce things that when needed. So, but they won't talk about that either.
No.
Using tissue from donors, the team observed that cells in the nucleus pulposus, remember that jelly-like structure in the center of the disc, had a lower amount of this peptide when degeneration increased. Lower amount of the peptide receptor when degeneration increased. Moreover, when they inhibited the expression, they observed a reduction in the production of type 2 collagen and agricon, main component of nucleus pulposus tissue. So less collagen without this peptide. To probe further whether this peptide might be used as a drug therapy to delay or prevent degeneration, the team treated mice with the peptide for 4 consecutive weeks. Now, I have a problem with this also, because mice are, their spine isn't weight-bearing like humans. How often are they upright?
Probably just to reach for something.
It's kind of cute when they do.
It's very cute.
Ratatouille was a good movie.
Yeah, and I'm totally scared to death of mice.
You don't want to put one in your hat and have it pull your hair and use you as a
Oh my
puppet
gosh.
to cook soup?
I am no good when it comes to mice. I remember.
You make soup pretty good by yourself.
Yeah, but not with mice.
You don't
I
need a
don't put them
mouse.
in it. I
Yeah.
don't let them stir it.
Well,
No.
it says at various intervals, they took MRI images of the mice discs. Yeah, it's so bad. These mice don't walk on 2 feet. It used a technique for imaging proteins called immunofluorescent staining to observe progress. They found that in addition to slowing the progression of degeneration in the treatment group compared to controls, the peptide also improved levels of protein agricon.
Maybe they made all the mice walk upright. Maybe they trained them first.
Should.
Could have happened.
This present study not only revealed the expression changes of vasoactive intestinal peptide and its receptors within human nucleus pulposus tissue. I thought they were doing it on mice. Why does it say human? But also demonstrated its protective effect against degeneration. Despite these promising results, the authors say they are a long way away. This part I agree with. They are a long way away from developing a drug for back pain based on this peptide, with one of many obstacles to overcome being formulation. My goodness. I don't know if I want to read the rest of this. There's more stuff in here. Are we done with this thing?
I think we can probably
Listen,
be done.
guys, if you take care of your spine, you won't need that stupid drug. bottom line. So take care of your spine.
It's important.
It's not that hard.
We always say you can live without your teeth. I know dentists hate to hear that, but technically you can. But your spine, super important. So
Yeah.
that
Now,
spinal cord.
I mean, remember when we had Dr. Tia on the podcast? She talked about the number one thing people can do to help their dogs live longer was brush their teeth.
Yeah.
So it's true. And then we had other articles talked about how like taking care of the teeth affected a lot of things
It
in the
does.
body. And most people understand that. That's why no matter what, they're really good about going to the dentist and brushing their teeth. Some people even floss,
Yeah.
believe it or not. But how many people take care of their spine before an injury occurs? I'm in the gym this morning. This guy, he used to work out at the other gym, and now first time I see him at the new gym, and he runs over. He goes, "I need to come see you. My back's been hurting." Meanwhile, he's deadlifting like 600 pounds. The guy is a beast.
I think he's coming Friday.
Oh, did he call?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we'll get so and did he request me specifically?
I think so.
Okay. Anyways, but like I have a feeling, and he's a medical doctor, by the way, himself. But I have a feeling this is the first time he's had someone evaluate his spine.
Wow.
When we should really get it checked when we're born.
Mm-hmm.
And
At all the mile
periodically
markers.
at every mile marker. So baby learns to roll over, check the spine. Learns to sit up, check the spine. Starts teething, check the spine. They start
Not
crawling.
acting right, check the spine.
What?
Not acting right, check
Yeah.
the spine.
Fussy, check the spine.
Mhm.
Spitting
Not
up,
eating.
check the spine. Not sleeping,
Not sleeping, not
Check-
eating.
check the spine. But then after 2 years, every 2 years, so maybe around age 5, take an x-ray,
Mhm.
see what that spine looks like, see if they've developed any patterns that would cause stress in their spine. Stop degeneration before it happens.
100%.
Anyways, I know some of you think I'm nuts. That's okay. That's how we raised our kids
They're pretty healthy.
from day one. And I'm not telling you they don't have problems. Anyways, but they love getting adjusted.
Yep.
And so anyways, thank you for joining us. I hope this was helpful. I hope you can start taking care of your spine. No matter what you believe about chiropractic, there's things you have to do to take care of your spine. Whether you go through range of motion exercises every morning or stretches or whatever it is, don't neglect. Don't wait till it hurts.
Yeah,
Fix
it's
it
important.
before.
It's
Anyways,
important.
take care. God bless you. And come back and join us next time.
See you then.
This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.